This story happened when I was a freshman in high school. I was around 14 or 15 years old. I'm now 20. But I still think about this teacher constantly. So, my school was extremely small at the time. It was a brand new school in my town, and the grades were from pre-K to senior year, so preschool to 12th grade, but there were still only around 100 students total. So yes, super duper tiny. The high school class was the second most populated room, having roughly 10 kids. Freshmen through senior students were all in one small classroom with the same teacher for every class. The only times we moved classrooms were for things like art and PE, weird I know. Because of how small the school was, we had extracurricular classes like art and PE clumped with the other grades. Pre-K to kindergarten together, 1st to 3rd together, 4th to 5th together, and then the middle school and high school were together for these classes. Because of this, I was friends with one of the 8th graders whose mom also happened to be the art teacher. We'll call the teacher Ms. L. This isn't very relevant until the second half of the story, but I wanted to mention it now. Again, due to the small school, they didn't always have the best teachers for the job. They just sorta picked what they could get from whoever applied. The art teacher didn't know much about art, so we always were told a prompt to draw/paint, and we just did it without much guidance. It was honestly enjoyable for me. I have a passion in art, so this just felt like a class where I could free draw for an hour without strict rules. But it's important to know this teacher wasn't much of an artist herself, but did enjoy seeing others work. This week we were supposed to draw self-portraits in any art style we chose. Being the nerd I am, I drew myself in an anime style. The teacher loved it, and asked if I wanted it to be part of the art fair my school was hosting that weekend. I said yes, and by the end of the week I turned it in to be graded and added to the fair. The fair went smooth, nothing exciting. Just parents looking at the work kids displayed if they had chosen to. Most kids brought their work home after, but Ms. L wanted to keep the high school and middle school drawings up for a while longer, and would return them next week so they could be displayed in the school longer. And so, I left without it as well as my other artistic classmates. The next week came, and she didn't return everyone's pieces, one of them being mine. I didn't mind too much because it wasn't a masterpiece, just art I whipped up for a grade, but later when report cards came, I got a big fat F for her class. I asked her why and she said, "I never turned in my art," which baffled me. She literally took the time to compliment me and asked me to add it to the art showing, took it off my hands, and displayed it. Just to claim I never did it. Again, this is a small school, she didn't just forget. I complained to my parents and principal, but they couldn't do much since she insisted I never turned it in, and the principal was very biased no matter what issue you brought to her. Looking back, the principal probably just didn't want to cause issues with any of the limited staff she had, which I suppose is understandable, and so, I just suffered the grade with bitterness. After talking with some classmates, it turned out that everyone else who didn't get their work back also got Fs and the same explanation. And some people who submitted art that wasn't for a grade in the first place, personal art they just wanted to add to the gallery, didn't get theirs back either. The suspicious part is, all the art that went missing were from the students who had decently good art skills. And all the students who didn't care too much about art got theirs back. Meaning only the skilled artists had their pieces magically disappear, not saying the others had bad art, just that they didn't have a passion for it, therefore didn't put as much time into it. Keep in mind, people could submit any art they wanted, it didn't have to be the self-portrait, or even class work, but those who did turn in class work that had yet to be graded received an F after it didn't get returned to them. To explain better, as far as I remember, the teacher didn't grade everything when the projects were done, she graded us at the end of the quarter based on participation, and our never completed work counted as lack of participation, even though it was just one piece that didn't get turned in, out of a handful throughout the quarter. I assumed she stole them, but there was nothing I could really do because she just claimed people didn't turn them in. I'm not sure why she'd want the art in the first place, especially my self-portrait, because it was, well, a self-portrait. But why was it only the detailed pieces going missing? Later on, I knew she was 100% a thief after 2 other instances. One day I invited her daughter, who we'll call Autumn, fake name, to my brother's football game. I didn't really have anything to do at the games because as much as I admired my brother for his sports skills, it was just hard for me to focus on the game for hours at a time. So my mom often let me take a friend. At the game we discussed making our own spirit week since school was nearing summer break. Since the school was so small, all we really had to do was ask the principal, and she'd arrange something fun like this for us. Being the edgy teens we were, we decided to make the first day a gothic day. She didn't have many clothing or accessories to make it work but really wanted to do it anyway, so I offered to let her wear some of my clothes because I dressed alternative at the time. A while prior to this my family went out of the country and I got a cool glow-in-the-dark wolf shirt that had foreign characters on it, like a different language that didn't use the same alphabet as we do. Can't remember the exact what language as my family travels a lot. Basically I'm saying it was very noticeable as my shirt aside from other basic wolf shirts. I'm sure you can see where this is going. So basically I let her borrow it as the design was pretty punk rock looking. Our spirit week went well and I expected her to return the shirt as planned. The school year was approaching its end and I still hadn't gotten it back. Honestly, I don't remember what excuses she gave as this was so long ago, but what I do remember is seeing her mom, Ms. L, walk into class with it on the last week of school. Remember that art class was once a week, so this would be the last time I saw her for the year. I politely asked her if she would be able to send Autumn to school with the shirt the next day since it was mine and I had been asking for it back, and she told me no. She said she found it at Goodwill earlier this week, and that there's no way it was mine. Remember, I got this shirt as a souvenir in a different country. There's no way someone had the same one and donated it in my town around the time I lost it. Plus the obvious fact, her daughter is the one who had it last. I don't know why she felt the need to wear it when she knew I'd see it. I assumed she forgot it was a borrowed shirt from me. But once you're approached about it, the mature thing to do would be to admit the mistake and say you'd return it when you can, right? But no, she made excuses. Don't get me wrong, I didn't care that much about the shirt, but this situation was annoying. Why is a grown woman this desperate to take a wolf shirt from a freshman in high school? Long story short, I never got the shirt back and I feel like Autumn was told to play dumb by her mother because it was super bizarre she didn't just simply bring it back to me. The last story is super short, but just adds to the thievery of this teacher. Basically throughout the year we were working on this huge class project where we were making a rug to go in the school hallway. It was super tedious. We had to cut up shirts and tie the pieces to this mesh to make a huge rug. We did this for about an hour every other class, so every other week with regular art assignments in between. No one liked this project, but hey, that's art class for you. After we finished the project we never saw the rug again, and the teacher kept saying it would be spread out eventually. Long story short, my other friend stopped by Autumn's house to pick her up for the mall or something like that, and he saw the rug in their house laid out on their floor. Why the teacher wanted an ugly mishmash rug of t-shirts? Who knows? The next year Autumn and Ms. L were no longer with the school, but I don't think it's related to any of this. I think they just moved, but I haven't been in contact since. But this story still frustrates me every time I think about it.